So, hello.
Hello.
Today we are dancing with Sara Ruddock, and we've known each other for a long time, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
But I don't remember where we first met each other. I remember you were always such a friendly and warm presence whenever we encountered each other in the different parts of Stockholm, in fact, because I was rarely here in London.
Yeah.
So it's kind of really nice to find myself now here, as you found yourself here in the UK, and to connect with what that's done for you and your dance and your practice, but specifically like where you are, because you're now working here very much at Laban, and you are creating choreographies here, and you are researching in a PhD at Roehampton.
Yeah.
So there's like a lot of like really interesting things that overlap with my sort of curiosity and work that I've been doing in Sweden, and I get a chance to sort of meet that where it is with you here today. So thank you for coming and dancing with me.
Thank you.
And where are you today? Like, how do you describe yourself? Dancer, performer, person, human?
Yeah, all of those things. All of those. Yeah, I moved to London like 9 years ago now. And yeah, it's been a really interesting sort of cultural experience, discovery, as we spoke about earlier when we met. And I am teaching and tending to my own practice, and I really enjoy occasions like this where we can share practice and talk about practice and find different sort of formats or modes for that. I find really interesting. And yes, my PhD research has been ongoing for like 7 years. It's been through like across the pandemic.
Of course.
And caring for children at home, and it's been a lot of different sort of challenges that made it more stretchy than I ever kind of had imagined when I started out. I was interested in kind of doing this PhD research because I wanted to dig deeper into my practice and kind of unpack and what it was about, or how to be able to articulate what I was doing, and not just what I was doing, but really explore through the practice, to work with practice as research, practice research. And the system here in the UK is a bit different than in Sweden, for example. When it comes to artistic research, it's not like such an established field in itself. Like in Sweden, Scandinavia, artistic research feels really established. Like we understand what that is. We don't have to justify why we're doing it, why artistic research would be good or helpful or useful or interesting at all. And here it feels like there's a lot more work that you need to do generally in the institutions, in like why this would be a good sort of methodology or approach to research. Yeah. And what it might offer. So I'm learning a lot from that, because it needs to, be articulated in a different way. Maybe I haven't done such like a, the deep dive that I was sort of hoping for in the kind of like really, really working a lot with the practice and sharing the practice and discussing the practice with peers and with staff. That has not been that sort of research environment. Okay. But I really sort of try to create my own way of doing the research and like stay close to the field of dance and choreography, my peers of practitioners in London. So my research is a lot about listening through the body and listening through also activating voice and movement and vibration, and how that might open up listening in different ways, and tending to other people's practices like Deborah Hay and Pauline Oliveros and other artists, but then really working like through studio practice and then sharing the studio practice through audio scores, sharing it with other people in workshops. So that was like really, it became really key for me. That is, if there's not the support in the institution to have this kind of collaborative research space, I need to create it myself.
Yeah.
So that's what I was been really researching through this kind of series of workshops of where I've been sort of sharing my practice, sharing the research, and then seeing what is it in the exchange that it kind of can open up questions about resonance and resistance. These are two kind of things, concepts, bodily concepts, experiences that I'm really interested in. How can we sort of think through and with and move with and listen with resonance and resistance, and how we are actually, as artist practitioners, using resonance and resistance, and like the interplay between resonance and resistance as tools, as a way of being an artist, as a way of being with our practices. And that's why I find it super interesting to get together with other artist practitioners, also to kind of how make that visible and to articulate it and listen through that, and so that we can speak about it.
That's what we're going to do, of course. Just to, I mean articulation, like we were just discussing before starting, like could you introduce yourself? And it's such like that's just one of those things as well, like it's another opportunity or moment of, okay, how do I articulate who I am, what am I doing and stuff. And it's so interesting that you say, like, within the research that you started, what was it, 7 years ago? You've been here 9 years, so there was 2 years after you arrived, and you're arriving in a new context and trying to articulate your practice within that context, and then looking for places where you can practice that articulation. It's so interesting, and still we're continuing to do it, right? Like, and we find these hook words, which is so beautiful: resistance and resonance, and these different ways as well, like workshops, meeting people, and here a podcast to do those things. But it's like an unfinished project all the time. We just keep revisiting. And with that in mind, what are we going to visit today?
What are we going to visit? We will. I will invite you into some experiments, and I have some different kind of bits of practice or activities. That is that I find kind of, I'm interested in how they might open up my sensitivity and attention to my listening. So we will do a backwards practice. It's a walking backwards. We'll probably do that for about 15 minutes. At least 15 minutes we need to do it. And that is also a listening practice. It's this kind of listening whilst moving through space backwards. Do you want me to describe it a bit more? Or is that something that we do later?
No, you can describe as much as you can now. It's nice for the listeners, of course, to then imagine what we will do when we pause. But I think, I mean, it's quite well established. So we're walking backwards, I assume, for 15 minutes. It's quite a long time. And in this studio, I suppose we'll turn around.
I mean, you need to find pathways through the space. And the good thing is that there's just two of us here in the studio, and it's quite spacious. And we will just keep walking backwards. So, of course, we need to have, it's like, we will be two people, two bodies moving in the space. And you can slow down and speed up as you want to. When I'm walking, there's a natural rhythm. And what I'm curious about in this practice, why I like it, it's because it's being with several different things at the same time, and it's helping me to not be fixed on a singular thing. So it already is, if I'm walking backwards and I know that is like the simplest sort of task that I'm doing, and I need to just navigate the space walking backwards, then I have the freedom to go at whatever tempo I want to, with whatever rhythm. There's already a rhythm. That's I will walk, but it's me doing the rhythm. So I don't have to think about creating another rhythm. So there's something interesting about being with rhythm for me, and how we are with how we can listen through rhythm, but I don't have to go looking for it.
No, exactly.
And that is like quoting Deborah Hay, and also because I've worked with Deborah Hay and performed and adapted one of her solos, Market, in 2009, 2010 in Stockholm. Working with her practice was really quite, it felt almost like, revolutionary in a way for me in how I practice as a solo performer, but as a performer generally, and how I tend to my listening as or attention giving, how I practice attention giving, and how I work with perception as the material, as Deborah speaks of. Perception as the material for choreography and performance. And if I'm already walking backwards, and I'm already, there is going to be a rhythm because I'm going to take step after step. But there's so much information there that I can play with the nuances and subtleties of like, what is that rhythm and how is it changing? There's always going to be the rhythm of my breath. It's always with me.
Yes.
And that's something that is very present when I'm walking backwards also for a long time. That's like another thing. And also because I've been doing different kinds of practices of how do I listen like through the body, how do I listen through the skin, through the touch sense, how do I listen through my ears, how do I listen through vibration as like a really physical experience, a visceral experience, or when I listen to sound, or when I listen to my own voice vibrating like inside of me and through me and around me. If I take away like more of the auditory, can I sense more through my body? If I also listen through the eyes, being touched through what I see. So I have all my senses with me. And there's also, when I tend to practice a bit longer, I do like doing it for 20 minutes, but we'll do it for 15. I think that's enough for today. Then it's also kind of letting different kinds of listening move through me. Because I'm curious about the moments when we try to kind of perform listening. We try to get the listening right. And when it feels like a failure, that I'm not sort of doing the listening as it's supposed to be doing. And I think that's such a trap for us as kind of dancers, performers, and practitioners when we, like in the dance, like this is how it looks like. Also the aesthetics of listening. This is what it looks like to be listening in a certain way. And then there might be all sorts of other things going on. But I'm like trying to perform this listening, which is so weird. And so useful to kind of go, what is really happening? I really want to be with what's actually happening. I'm not trying to perform anything. I'm not trying to achieve a certain kind of listening. But can I let my listening move as it wants to? There can be like a delicious practice like that I was like, I'm moving with my listening as it wants to move. And this is the physical task I'm tending to, is walking backwards and listening at the same time. Then I can also let other dimensions of listening come in, as in, there will be what's the present moment, what's the kind of past coming in, or future, or imagination, fiction. How do I feed myself when I sort of, different sort of states and different dimensions of like what is coming in whilst I'm moving. And also that doesn't sort of, the walking backwards practice doesn't restrict me to move the rest of my body as in if I feel like my arms need to move in a certain way whilst I'm walking backwards, that's totally possible. So it's like the rest of my body can do what it wants to do, and my voice can do what it wants to do. Maybe there are like, my breath is going to sound, it's going to move, it's going to be present. If there are sounds of my breath or sounds that want to come out, I'm not going to restrict that, and that can be an invitation to, like, if there's movement that wants to move whilst doing this, things that I find interesting, things that I want to tend to as I'm doing this. I can layer and I can add and I can take away and I can just use it as I want to. But the basic task is just, to walk backwards in some way for 15 minutes and listen and tend to give attention to what is happening and what is coming through in my listening. So there's a kind of listening journey also, like along this.
I'm super excited.
Yeah.
I was going to make my first question was, okay, but what is listening?
Yeah.
I feel like you have very well described the sort of palette through which that can sort of live. Yeah, it's very clear. So shall we go do that?
Yeah.
And then we come back?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Let's do it.
Great.
We could talk for a little bit.
Yeah, let's
I don't
do
know.
that.
That's breaking the format of just talking at the end. But
We
if
should
talk for a
always
little
break
bit.
the format.
Yes, good.
Yes.
Resistance. That's.
Resistance, resonance. So for me it was, at first I was like, oh wow, my hearing is so frontal. I was very aware of how hard it was to hear where I was going.
Yeah.
So this sort of reorientation and then focusing on something that we're essentially doing all the time was like so like crisp, like focused in a way. And there's something about walking backwards which feels more like falling than there's those famous texts, right? That walking is always falling. But there's something backwards really feels like falling.
Yeah.
And maybe just to skip to the end of like what came up for me, like was this thing of the sort of obstacles, the things which or habits maybe of, like, for instance, catching oneself when they're falling. Being confronted by them through this task in a way. The same with like my breath makes a sound, but I'm not sounding it, and I'm trying actively often to be quiet, and it's almost it's like an obstacle because it's sort of it's something I'm always doing, but unconsciously. It's so in me. It's so me. And also just walking into walls as well, like literal obstacles in the room. I'm so used to. I avoid that. And there's something about listening that I start to see the edges of those decisions that are motor, like they're in my motor system, so to speak. That was really cool.
Nice.
How about you?
Oh, that was so nice doing it in the space together. I really like the sort of subtle, subtle conversation of, it's like there is a conversation already from the, so we don't have to make it a conversation. It's like, but just to be with that in the space together, it's so rich. So I very much enjoy that. Yeah. And what I really like about this kind of backwards practice is that I'm going backwards and forwards at the same time.
Yes.
I feel like I'm going forwards because I'm not going in a direction, like I'm moving somewhere and like forwards in a sense, or like what I recognize as forwards, but it is backwards through the back of my body, and I get to do it like at the same time, and I get so much sort of touch support through the back of my body, through like the air I'm moving through, like feeling the air kind of rushing past my neck and just feeling kind of met by the air through the back of my body. It's just such a great experience because, like you say, the frontal, what we're working with all the time is like it's dancers, movers. It's like, how can I balance out this kind of very dominant frontal kind of approach?
Yes.
And like we're finding lots of different ways of doing that, but this is really helping me to go like, I see my back. And there's something about how my seeing changes because it doesn't reach for places like I do when I walk front, or like I have to work with that and like notice that as a performer and not kind of reach for things through my eyes, but to more let it touch my eyes when I'm moving through the front. But when I'm moving through the back, then it's like I'm leaving the space. It's like the space is opening up for me in a backwards kind of way. So it's more like I'm letting things come in that I'm leaving behind.
Yes.
You know, it's like the distance is increasing, and I'm catching things with my eyes as the distance is increasing, which is like a really interesting backwards way of doing it. And I find that really, I'm interested in that and what it does and how it sort of changes my way of being with.
It almost, it makes me, like that thing I was trying to describe with this sense of obstacles or things that are habitual or in me.
Yes.
The backwards movement, as we've done it for so long now, I mean, it's almost nauseating, actually. I feel a little bit dizzy, I think. But there's something in doing it that I recognize I could have always walked backwards, but I've just done forwards so much. And then the whole thing becomes less about, it is about backwards. It's about meeting actually those, and listening to those choreographies that are internal to us that are already there, so to speak, and sort of like performing on us. And exactly like the relationality is so strong and subtle and beautiful, and also codified ways of being together come up. Like you feel the second we get in rhythm, and there's a sense of flocking, like a compositional, like we're moving together, and there's something about the dynamic as well of falling backwards. Like it has this very release, like flow and push. And then I'm confronted with like, oh, is that habitual, or is that like, and then how am I composing actually? And it's all there. It's in me, the relationships that we have with one another, which is so interesting.
But I'm also like really giving myself permission. It's like when I feel that rush, or like we got like quite close, there's like this vortex or something starting to happen, like falling through this vortex together, and there was like sound, and the rhythm was kind of locking in, and it's like, oh, this is a delicious sensation. It's just like such a pleasure to be in it. It's like I give myself permission to like enjoy this for a while, and then see like, okay, and totally acknowledging this, like, okay, this is what it is, and I recognize, you know, the how I'm drawn to it, and that's where like the interest of resonance comes in for me. It's like, what am I? I was like, this feels really nice, and it's like how I can find openings of breaking that, or not even like breaking is maybe too strong a word, but something about the shift, like this, the tiniest shift to kind of open up the other potentials or the possibilities of like being with that. That's like, I know that like I'm in this, but I can also feel the potential for lots of other different kinds of movement, and I know that this is not, I'm not fixed or stuck in this and it's, oh gosh. Maybe I set 2 alarms.
Yeah, you maybe snoozed, but that's good. Maybe that means we should move on to the next. but maybe to add, like, there's something of it's not breaking, but maybe it's listening. Actually, there's a quality of being with, like you say, but just listening to those emergences of like, oh, I have this skill almost, or ability, and because it's backwards, and because it's in a dance studio maybe, and it's between us 2 dancers, they seem, those skills seem very like luxurious. I'm like, oh my God, my body learned this. Like, I'm so impressed that you remembered even that it has that capacity to go back into those beautiful dance qualities and dynamics and the tensions and relationships. And then it makes me wonder, but could we even appreciate the forward as well? So then I start to listen to things that I've maybe underappreciated as well. And there's this constant beautiful opening. So definitely I agree, like, I didn't mean to say like, oh, it's a habit, therefore I'm trying to like negotiate, like, oh, should I go with the habit, or should I go against the habit, break the habit, but more like listening to what is there. It's super cool. Did you have anything else on this, or should we move on? How do you feel?
What did it feel like for you to stop?
It was intense. It was a very intense moment, partly because of the dizziness as well, and then just sort of reorientating and feeling a little bit like it felt wrong to go forward. That was the strongest thing, and it's so pleasurable. I also felt like, why are we stopping? Like, this feels too short. Like, because also there's a clock in the room, so I was sort of like, I thought we said 15, but it felt like, from the clock, it felt like 30, and then I was like, maybe you said 50, and then I was really disappointed that it wasn't 50. I was like, I could have really done 50. So I had a little bit of these things going on. Why? What were you thinking?
No, because it's like just strong experience, like lots of different sensations, and kind of, I don't know, I feel when I stop is like this a lot of kind of tingling feet, but mostly like the world is kind of rushing towards me. It's just kind of being sucked into. It's like a weird kind of sucking feeling through the body that is like I don't experience otherwise. But I do experience after doing this.
Like that visual perception.
So it's just like, and then I stop, and it's just like it comes at me, and I just sit in this sort of waterfall or something for a while until it sort of releases or fades.
I mean, and that's what you did. You went and sat down, and because like, I'm sure you could as well, but like my initial thing is to like break out of it and like, okay, what's now? And host a little bit, because there's this weird shared hosting that we have in this type of podcast situation. But I recognize that, no. You're taking a moment. Sarah's taken a moment to sort of, And so that was really nice to be invited into that non-verbally as well, actually, into a moment of like, And then at some point I was like, I feel like I need to write. And then you come over and say, let's take a moment to write. And I was like, I was already there. And then you said, oh, you're such a good student. Which I was like, yes, I did it. No. Sorry.
That was a joke. In a very kind of, in a very loving way. As in, it's just, there's also, like you said, the listening, the reflection to, like, No, but how we do things and why it makes sense to write something down. What is it that comes up? It's super interesting.
Yeah, it's true.
Why is it there is, but there's definitely a kind of, bits of experience. Yeah. It's like, I want to, there was something there that was interesting to me, and I just want to note that down. Yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But I think there's something because I still have that question from the beginning of like, you say, and we're going to listen, and then you describe listening, and it has this breadth and complexity that you're inviting to it, and still, I think even after doing it, I'm still in a little bit of a place of like, wait, what is listening? And in relationship to the cognitive, not the cognitive, sorry, the sort of motor structure of our being, of our physical experiencing of the world. Like, what is listening in relationship to that, in fact?
Yeah.
When it steps out of like recognized pathways, and it's all meets with the pathways that we sort of have in us. There's something so fascinating there. Yeah. And then exactly like, need to write. And then there's even there's a listening to the writing that it all unfolds. Yeah, super.
But I also like listening to, it's like through an intuitive sense, like an intuitive felt sense of like, this is what makes sense in this moment, and I don't have to, rationalize it and how we work with that as dancers as well in our practices and kind of cultivate that intuitive felt sense of like, no, it feels wrong to go over here, but like this is what it is, and you don't know quite why, or it's, just giving yourself permission and the space to be able to do that in different ways. And generally I think this backwards practice for me is like inviting that intuitive felt sense. I was really drawn to the wall for a while. I was brushing my hands against the wall, or like they were being brushed because I was walking backwards. There was a sense of like, oh, they have to be dragged along kind of the wall. And then I had this really powerful sensation of my hands were like really buzzing from the tactile kind of touch of the wall for a long time afterwards. And it's, I mean, all these like little choices, or like what we're sort of drawn to in the moment. And there's something about shifting that, or the movement, how with there's potential to move from the more kind of subconscious and through intuitive felt sense into like very kind of rational thoughts coming in, and how we move through these different sort of layers as in our practices, and how we can access them and appreciate them, you know, like for what they are, and like how they can. There's movement in between, and we don't need to be also stuck in one. And it'd be interesting to, you know, think about hierarchy or kind of like different expectations, like how we work, you know, as dancers in our practices, but also like, okay, generally in like in the world, in society, politically, what's sort of what's the messaging around what is being valued and not, and often, you know, the body and the intuitive felt sense is like much lower down on the, like the hierarchical sort of list of like how do we advocate or kind of articulate these knowings or experiences, or trusting an intuitive felt sense, and still also being able to question our choices.
Yes, exactly.
So it's this movement, like you say, it's like, I'm being drawn to this. I'm really resonating with this. It's like, but why? You know, I can take time to think about why is that, and why is that so, and I really enjoy this, and why, and where does that come from, and where is like the conditioning and background and history, and like, I'm a really sort of, I'm really resistant against something, and like, why is that, and where does that come from?
Yes.
But that I really sort of use this resonance and resistance in like as like valuable information.
Yes. Yeah.
And I can look at that as like, you know, it tells me something about. Also, I'm curious about, like, you're doing all these podcasts and asking people to kind of like share a bit of practice with me, and you do it. And something about like being told what to do, or when it's like, here's the task and I'm going to engage with it, and how you step into that with both resonance and resistance.
Yes,
it's like, how do I find my own way? How do I find a way that makes sense for me, that is not me just doing the thing, but actually finding a way to kind of like, I have agency and I have presence to kind of experience something within this frame, but I need to make the frame work for me. And that kind of practice of resistance, like that, I'm really curious about how that works.
Oh, it's really fun that you bring it up. It's something that I probably don't dwell on too much, but it's true. And then it also, because it's something I don't dwell on too much, partly because I'm working, I'm like doing the podcasts often, so my focus is there, just trying to get it done. But it connects to my like dance history of like, how do I relate as a dancer? Because I was thinking about it this morning, how in a way I've put myself in a very dancerly role of I will come and I will dance within your proposal or practice or dancing or beside your dancing. And there's something very interesting for me in that, because I've struggled as a dancer, because sort of following the choreographer has been always a little bit fraught, which is so silly to say, but I think it often has to do with, because I come with a lot of questions, a lot of resistance, and a lot of like resonance, maybe, if I really borrow from you, but definitely resistance, questions, and why? And maybe there's something in this relationship where, like I said, like I'm host and you're host. We're both hosting simultaneously. But there is, in that little pause where we go and we dance, there is a funny thing that sort of occurs where I've gone from being the person taking care of the situation to all of a sudden being the person trying to honor the other person's position in that relationship. But maybe if I don't know if it connects. Now you've had me like sort of gone on a little biography, but maybe it connects, because when you were talking just now, I had to think of like, there's something really powerful about, like you were talking about society, like it relates to society. And I think not to be dance-centric, I really try to avoid this sort of sense like, because we're talking about dance and doing dance, therefore dance is a lens through which we should all look at society. But everyone does stuff, you know? And I feel like that's what we're dealing with, is the doing of things. On a real sort of fundamental level, and exactly like, how do we rationalize and not? How do we go with intuitive felt sense and at the same time live within a sort of world which pushes us to rationalize these things, when ultimately, if we don't engage with those two processes that happen, then people will just continue doing stuff physically, bodily, in the world without investigating them. So it feels really essential then, like actually what we're doing is really important, because as people dancing, you can't rationalize everything. Like as we're walking, like you just, it fails, because we are an amalgamation of physically constructed things which have come through years and years of experience and having just done stuff. So there's something really magical there. I don't know if it relates back to the question you had, but yeah.
Yeah, no, I think it really brings up like questions around like, or you know, feeling that tending to or engaging in some of these practices, or listening in different ways, or becoming aware of giving attention to my listening in different ways, that what, you know, that it might hold potential for, you know, expanding the way I listen.
Yes.
Or being able to stay with sticky stuff for a bit longer, or like unknowns as we, you know, whatever that might mean, you know, but that is I'm curious about that, you know, the expansive potential for resonance, the expansive potential for listening, and how these practices can change us, or open up, or enable, just like softening or breaking, or making the listening a little bit more porous so that I can open it.
It's so inclusive. Was there more that you wanted to try? Should we jump into
Let's do something for like 10 minutes.
Yeah, let's do it. Cool.
Okay. We can either call it the resonator, or we can call it the friendly echo.
Okay.
And
depends
or
on
you
how
can
much
call it lots of
resistance we
different
want.
things. Yes. Resonator sounds like, you know, I just think of the Terminators. But it makes me smile. So it's good. It's useful because it makes me smile and feel less precious about these things, and it really helps. So, shall I describe it?
Yes, please.
Okay. Let me try. We're going to start. We also like have a simple kind of physical task. And I'm starting shoulder to shoulder. It's just then like inviting. There's like a bit of physical touch. There's a touch sense that is like going through the kind of the practice, and it can change. It doesn't have to be kind of shoulder to shoulder the whole time, but it can, you know, the kind of moving from the shoulder to the back, to the shoulders to the arm. It's like, okay, that's like a frame that we can move within whilst we're doing other things. So it's also like just helping to activate the touch sense, the physical kinesthetic sense in a very clear, like direct way. We're going to take turns to. I'm going to invite you to sound, as in like vocalize some sound with your, and it can be any kind of sound, but you also don't need to feel like you have to like perform in a certain way or like fill the space with a certain kind of sound, but it's more like an utterance, you know. We've been moving with the breath and moving like in these backwards practices. There's been like an activation of like, okay, there's like breath and like vocalization of like breath, or there's like sound coming out of me, and hopefully feel like I'm a bit more connected to like there's like an inside that comes out, you know, that we've activated that. And so if I kind of invite that again, it's like, okay, I can, like that can be like sound coming out that I want to kind of taste. And I'm kind of tasting these sounds out in this space, you know, that's like, or it's going to be around me. And because we're close, it can be, you know, it can be quite quiet. But I'm going to be your friendly echo. Okay. Like, whatever sound you're making, I'm going to like sound, like taste it. Yes, okay. I'm going to be your echo. Like your resonator. So if you make a sound, I'm going to try it out or taste it or like feel what does it feel like for me, and I might repeat it again. It's like there's no end to like when the echo stops. It's like it can be an endless echo, but you know, there's some sort of like conversation in that. You can make another sound, or there's another utterance coming out, and I will taste it, and that also means that it's kind of, I'm offering for your sound to exist in the space for a bit longer. That's like a lingering sense of I'm going to make it sound for longer. Nice. Well, and you can listen to it. Yes. So you don't have to sound. It's like, okay, I can listen back to it, and I don't have to copy your sound. So the task is not to copy. Like I don't have to make it as close as, you know, sound exactly like your sound. But the way that it's also part of the practice that it, you know, the sound changes as it moves through my body and my voice. So there's something about the transformation of sound, or how echo is being transformed when it bounces off a surface. Yes. You know, or like how it meets the surface and come out in the space again. You know, it's affected by, you know, the quality of that surface. So the quality of like of the sound coming out through me, and the kind of like how that sounds. I will play with that and kind of, but just the kind of the friendly part is like, I'm just holding space for you to hear a bit of sort of your sound for a little bit longer. But it exists, like there's a lingering aspect to your sound. And then there'll be another sound coming out, and then I, you know, taste that, try that, and, you know, let it linger a bit. Okay, that sounds good. That's the invitation. And then after a while, so maybe we take 5 minutes or something, and then, or maybe just a few minutes, and then we can swap. Yes. And then I'll make a sound. And we're doing this all back to back, or was it shoulder to shoulder? If we start shoulder to shoulder, then there's like, okay, that's like this back space, that's like some kind of connection. Yeah, it doesn't mean, you know, so we can move through the space as we want to. We can move, you know, up and down and around and sit down or whatever, but it's like just staying, like, we're activating this another sense also. So there's like outside touch, inside touch through the voice. Something that is just layering and being in conversation in a bit more kind of layered way. No, it sounds great. Resonance and resonator, or the friendly echo. Yeah, nice. Let's do it. Okay, let's do it.
So it was a little taste. That's what you were saying. It's quite full, quite rich as a place. And is this something you've done before as well? Or
I think when you have a bit longer time with it, and also like the setting it up.
Yeah, of course.
So that really there can be, like yes, there's sounding, but the listening is like the focus.
Yeah.
As in like, by me sounding, it's also like a simultaneous listening. So it's like, as I'm making the sound, if I do the practice for longer, then it's not so much about producing the sound, but I'm listening to the sound as it's coming, kind of being formed in my throat, in my mouth, in the way that kind of enters just the outside space, how it enters my ears, how I feel it like through the, and if I've been practicing with that more before I kind of work together with another person, then it's like, okay, so I'm like tasting the sound and feeling the sound through the body and like through the vibration, and then the sound is being offered back to me by this other person.
Yes,
there's something about, and you can, when you do for longer, I experience you go kind of past the kind of play of the sounds themselves, but more into like the what is it to kind of.
We were already getting there a little bit. Like,
definitely.
I mean, and also you added this. At least that's how I understood it. Like, we passed over, and then I was echoing you, and then we sort of did a simultaneous echoing of whatever is resonating. And what was really interesting was I was starting to get moments where exactly, I think what you're describing of you no longer are going places, because there's really something in making sounds and making different sounds that you go to, like, now I'm going to work with my diaphragm, or now I'm going to work with my nose, or but then staying in there, or like with just the smacking of the lips sort of sounds. And at the end we were really with just the breath almost. And it was hard, actually. I was finding it hard to distinguish what were sounds that we were making and sounds that were the room, and there's this sort of weirdness, or even our bodies, right? Like, what am I making? What is and what is not? It sort of blends together. So I can really imagine, with more time and like deepening into this sort of practice.
But I love that place. I love the place of the blurring, like you name it. Like when I can barely, I like the edges of listening. It's like when I can barely hear something. But I'm not sure that if it's like where the sound is, if it's like the sound from me or you together. There's something about being immersed in the sound, or when you just barely hear it because it's so low, the volume, or like you said, where is it coming from? Is it like the outside sort of murmurings of the fan or vibrations and things, other sound sources? And it's something that I also I sing with F Choir, which is a London-based choir led by Jenny Moore, who's the artistic director, and I've been with them for 4 years. And there's something about the singing practice and singing with other people, a kind of let's call it choiring. That is being immersed in the sound, in the way, and the vibration, in the way that I can't distinguish my own voice from the other person, like other people's voices, and like we're in the vibration together, and I can feel that I'm producing sound. Like I know I'm making sound, but my voice doesn't stand out in the field of vibration. And there's something about that I I'm curious about in this kind of resonator friendly echo practice. It's like where I can both kind of sound the sound and hear the sound afterwards, but as we're starting to sound at the same time, then it's like the blending of that vibration is both like it's inside of my body and it's outside of my body with my sound, and it's your sound, and I can feel it also coming in, like how sound enters my body as vibration. It's not just through my ear and ear canal, but it's like really through the skin and through my body, through the bones, and that whole range of when you can really feel like vibration in your like really bass sounds and bass frequencies and like really heavy kind of bass beats, and you can like feel in a very visceral way, both a kind of pounding beat but also like a visceral vibration in the body. And the voice is so cool. I find the way that it's kind of how it works with the vocal cords and like all the vocal folds in the body and the air and the coming out of the to kind of help produce the sound and being in that vibration. And it's like a microcosm of the, like with just two people, it's like we're in this little vibrational space together, and that's an interesting space to listen to and listening to the edges of when a sound ends. I think Pauline Oliveros is an American composer, created the deep listening practice, ask questions about like,
what is the edge?
Like what's the edge of a sound, or when does a sound end?
Exactly.
Because it's also like in my memory.
So
it's also like in my memory, in my imagination, in my felt sense, it's like there's like a lingering sense of the sound, even though the sound is not ringing or vibrating in the air still, but it's like vibrating in me in the kind of immediate kind of aftermath of feeling it. And
I actually noticed that with the first dance that we did of walking backwards, like I was immediately struck by I am seeing the past, which is kind of what you were describing probably with the sort of moving, and then when we stop, the sort of everything moving towards, which had been going away, and sort of this change of movement. But because we're listening and we're walking backwards, I was very aware like the sounds have happened. There's something about that they have happened. And in one way or another, and especially because you bring up the deep listening practice and all her work, it begs the question of, is listening a verb? Is it a doing word? Like, do we do it? Like, I know it sounds stupid, but like there's something in the activity, and exactly what you're describing now about being in the choir, of are we making sounds? Like, is there a creative act to listening? And if so, where does it exist? Because it's, of course, counterintuitive. Like, there's a sense like, well, you're not creating anything by listening. It's a passive thing, almost. And also, it's not something you cannot do as well. We can't close our ears like birds can. Like, we don't have earlids. We are always listening. And yet, I think it's obvious there is a space of creativity, of making, of art, maybe. I'm struggling for words.
Yeah, but I'm really interested in this kind of creative aspect of listening, like you're saying, because the way Pauline Oliveros describes it is like, hearing is like a physiological thing. If hearing is available to you, as a person, it's through your auditory system. And hearing can also be like a vibrational sense. If you're a deaf person, then you can hear in different ways. But if it's through the auditory system that you are able to perceive sound, then hearing is happening. That is a physiological thing. But listening is something that I can direct and I can be creative with. Because listening is giving attention to something. And there's something about the quality of like how the connotations around listening that is helpful, I think, for that, the sense of listening through the body and how I give attention. It's like a certain quality kind of to listen to sound. And if like I can practice that through the body. But also that I can, thinking about like you're in a, in a busy kind of crowded space, maybe in a bar or a club, or like there's like a lot of like social, it's like a lot of sound, a lot of people talking, and you can really direct your listening to the one person you're speaking with. But while it's super loud around you, that's an amazing ability, skill, to be able to go like, I'm zoning in, honing in on just your sound,
Yeah.
your sound, and I can like direct my listening.
Yeah.
Which means that I can become aware of my listening. I can have agency through my listening. I can have the capacity to change my listening. I don't have to be stuck in a pattern of listening. I can notice my listening habits. I can notice my listening patterns, what I'm drawn to, what I'm listening to, what I'm not listening to.
Yeah.
When I stop listening, when I start thinking about, something else instead of actually listening to what a person is saying, or what the conditions are, or what the environment is like. What is the situatedness of like this present moment?
Yeah.
Can I listen to that, or am I busy with other things?
Yeah.
What am I listening to?
Yeah.
I feel like from engaging in deep listening practices is really I think the empowering sense of like I can listen. Like Pauline says, like it can be like a focal listening. I can listen to detail. I can send my listening. It's like, woo, that particular sound, like either like there's a soundscape or like sounds that happen, like environmental sounds, like in the space that I'm in, or like in music. I can direct my listening to learn just one instrument or one voice or one sound that is far away or that is close. I can listen to my breath, or I can choose not to listen to my breath and I listen to the clock over there, and then I can't hear my breath because my attention is over there, and that's super interesting. Or like Pauline says, you can listen to like the global. You can try and listen to like everything at once, and the range in between of like, can I listen to several different things? Can I listen to like at the same time? Is it like a really cool experiment? Like I listen to these three things. I listen to these three things together. I'm directing it into one place, and then being creative about that. And Rajni Shah, who is a performer and kind of performance philosophy scholar, researcher, and works a lot with listening, is also posing the question of like what if I can be changed by my listening, or what does it take to be changed by my listening? That's something in that. It's like, okay, I'm listening. But what does it take to be changed by my listening? As in like being transformed by it, or like open up, or something shifts within me because I listen to what another person says, or what the situation is, or like how I give attention. It's actually, work. And it's like a choice, and there's agency in like how I can go, there's space to be like the openness for that, or like the availability in me, and there's something there with the quality of resonance. The resonance is not about kind of the direct self-mirroring or the self-reflection of like that is just confirming my kind of strongest sort of ideas or beliefs or preferences, but there's something about I don't recognize this, but if I stay with it a bit longer, I stay with it and I listen to it and I try and stay open to it, they might change or open or shift something in me so that I can, relate to the situation or person or whatever it is in a different way. So that's like it's definitely creative. Listening is definitely a creative practice, or has the potential to be a creative practice.
No, it's nice to be reminded of the hearing and listening distinction that you can make. It's really powerful, and you're working within a dance context. You're working within dance knowledge as well, and of course then there's questions of so what is listening in relationship to dance. And I think what's really interesting is I think it really presents quite an interesting consideration, or like definition of dance, maybe, where you were speaking earlier a bit about like listening, being interested in listening as a performative act. Like how do we, or what changes in that performativity of listening, of like directing our attention, as you say. And there's something in the performing of dance, or even the act of dancing, where you perform an awareness or a focus or an attention towards some conditions of the bodily experience, which you don't get elsewhere. And it's not about production, or it doesn't have to, not this part of dancing, this shift of awareness isn't solely or about production. It's not about producing a sound like to be heard or to be listened to, or producing a movement to be a certain way. It's a shift of understanding those bodily conditions and so on. It's really fascinating. Like something about because dance is quite embarrassing as as a task, right? Like,
in what way?
In the way of we allow ourselves to do very strange things, and when it's performative dance, we allow ourselves to do strange things in front of other people. I mean, even social dance, if we classify that as non-performative, then we're still doing a strange activity physically, and there can be a sort of weirdness and embarrassment that sort of comes to that. But the sort of brilliance that dancers bring often is this confidence to do it regardless of any embarrassment that sort of might exist in that social committing to being attentive to a physicality or a way of being in front of other people, which you don't allow in other situations. And yeah, it's interesting that you've honed in on listening maybe as a methodology to maybe touch on that quality that exists in dance somehow. Or
I think it's it's interesting what you're saying, and I definitely think that the kind of training the listening capacities, my listening capacities as dancers, and really listening through the body, that is like, it's never also just through my ears, listening is a practice of attention giving to me, for me, and it's so much about listening through touch that really kind of helps us in being touched by sound, being touched by the experience, being touched by the sensory information that I'm with as a dancer and performer, and with other people, other performers, and what it's like to be listening with the audience if you're in a kind of performance context. What is it to listen to the situation, the atmosphere, the environment that I'm in? What is it that I'm giving my attention to? What am I listening through? What are the filters that I'm coming with? What is the performative ask also of me as a dancer? What is if I'm the choreographer myself, or I'm working with someone else's vision and we're collaborating on things, it's what is the filter that we're listening through? So these filters are also super interesting, I find, as a performer. What is it about this kind of the practice that we're listening through as a filter, and how that sort of changes the way that I access my body and the relationality in my body, the way I'm being with other people and myself in this these qualities, or the filters of this practice, the tasks that I'm in, what's the universe that we've created that we're inviting the audience into experiencing. And when I hone those listening qualities, capacities, so that I'm able to access them differently, then I'm inviting to different experiences, an audience into, so this is the kind of, and as we know, the kind of kinesthetic, empathic capacity of human beings, as we see and recognize movement and qualities through mirror neurons and the whole kind of cognitive neurological system of our bodies, and how we kind of feel through another person's body by seeing it visually, and also by touch, of course, by in a dance performance context. It's this a visual meeting point. It's that's the transmission that we're with, or the energy, how we can feel the energy in the space, in the dancing moment. But there's something in that. It's we train our listening capacities, we train our attention giving, so that we can also invite into different kinds of listening. We invite the audience into different kinds of listening. It's what is the quality of this kind of listening? Or what is the... So it's encouraging. I think it's the potential to encourage different ways of listening. Then how you guide and direct and invite into a space where you listen
Yes.
You direct the attention to what we're listening to, and the filter that we're listening through, and the kind of space for listening, how we set it up.
Yeah.
So they're also like performance, both as kind of as audience. I practice listening.
Yeah.
And it's and we can
as
performers invite different kinds of experience of listening.
Yes, I feel like as an audience member, because exactly as you say, like immediately if you think about listening as an activity, the audience are the ones that are sort of central, very quick to go there. But I feel like the more I've danced, the more I've investigated and put time into these kinds of practices and this type of work as a dancer, I've improved my ability to be an audience, and it is this sort of capacity to listen. And also you do, when speaking in these terms, using filters or lenses through which to articulate understanding and perception and those mirror neurons, whatever's going on when we are in contact with dance, it is such a similar world to music, which makes so much sense in a way, right? Why dance and music have had this sort of long history, because there's a very clear relationship. If you think through the lens of listening as an approach to articulating one's understanding of what dance can do and be, and it's fascinating. It's so cool.
It's interesting that it kind of how the visual listening. How I practice the visual listening as a dancer and as an audience member.
Yeah.
And
because I guess the synonym would be seeing, watching, but
yes,
looking. But I think that there's something about listening that is embodied very quickly, especially when you hear music, you hear sound. It feels like there's less filter, whereas with dancing, but it exists. There's science, right, to back up that. When we watch something, our neurons fire as if we are learning the dance in our own body. So that empathetic nervous system that we have. We should bring it to a bow.
Let's make a bow. What's the color of the ribbon?
Well, is there anything you wanted to say, or this was really pleasurable? We didn't get into the details of what came up in our last little dance, but there was so many great things, so many great images and qualities, and the same with the walking backwards. But this has been such a pleasure. Is there?
I agree.
Yeah. Do you have?
It's been really fun.
And if people do find it and listen to us dancing and talking and thinking aloud, and want to get in touch with you and your work, how would they do it?
Well, you can make contact via my website, sararuddock.com. At the moment, I'm in the thick of writing up my thesis for the PhD research, so I'm not giving a lot of workshops outside of teaching here at Trinity Laban at the moment, but I will.
Yes.
Come back to sharing more practice. I will come back to performing and making work in a different way. But I'm in London. Get in touch if you're interested.
So excited to see where this research and work, where it goes and how it continues. It's such a pleasure. Thank you so much.
It's been great. Thank you so much for inviting me.
No, thank you for bringing us here. This was great. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ha!
Hi, thanks for listening. If you can support the podcast, please go to paypal.me/dancepeter. I'm just looking for a little bit of funding to help support the cost of the hosting. I hope you enjoyed the episode. Thank you so much.